So this video is going, first of all, I am at my mom and my stepdad's house, and that mess back there, that's like the mud room for all our boots and coats and stuff, and it's not my mess. So it's not my apartment, not my place. Okay, just make that clear. Okay, so, let's see. Lithium toxicity is the topic, and also in there is going to be why you need to know your illness, your medications better than the average nurse or doctor. Okay. First, let's go through just lithium is a naturally occurring element. The salts are used to help stabilize mood and bipolar disorder. They don't know how it works, but it does, and many of us take it in its regular form or in extended release form, which tends to cause less problems with side effects and toxicity. I cannot take regular lithium because even before I get near a therapeutic dose, I show signs of toxicity. I just severe shaking and walking into walls and stuff. But when the extended release came out, which lets some out slowly at a time, I'm able to tolerate that. Yay! Okay. Now, lithium toxicity can be either acute or chronic. Acute is when you get way too much in your system suddenly, which could be, like a purposeful overdose or an accidental overdose, like not getting the dosage right or something, and then there's chronic toxicity, which is someone who's getting a little too much over a long period of time. You can also get lithium. See, I can't tell where the camera really is, so I know I'm not really looking at you. I guess it's right there. You can also get your level too high if you become dehydrated. And if you think about this, if you have a glass with a lot of water in it, glass of water with a lot of salt in it, and you say, heat up the water and it evaporates or something, and you take away the water, the salt becomes more concentrated, and it tastes saltier, and there's more, even though there was not any more salt put in there, the concentration is much higher, and so it changes things, and that's what happens when you get dehydrated. When you take away fluid, the concentration of lithium in your bloodstream becomes higher, and so when you are doing things like being very active outside in the heat, or you're perspiring a lot, if you have diarrhea or vomiting, if you have a fever and you're perspiring a lot with chills, you need to make sure you stay hydrated with water. Nothing with caffeine, because that just takes away fluid. So, how this landed with me. I do take lithium, and as I mentioned in a video before, I got bit by a sick stray cat, and my fingers became infected, and I had to take some antibiotics and get rabies shots and tetanus shot. And I was feeling really puny, and I got diarrhea, and I became dehydrated, and I also became confused, and I had some nausea, and I didn't have the vomiting until later. But I almost passed out while I was standing there talking at the door to someone, and they had to call an ambulance, and I was in the hospital. And I went into the emergency room, and I kept saying, you know, I've been on antibiotics, and I've been getting these shots, so I haven't been feeling well. I've had diarrhea. I haven't been eating and drinking enough, and I'm on lithium. And I kind of assumed that they would make that connection enough to check my lithium level. And the doctor and the nurses kept talking to me. They drew lots of blood, and they kept talking to me, well, your labs are fine, and labs, but they were never very specific. And see, I was worried because I realized that I had been confused and wasn't doing anything about my dehydration, even though I knew I was dehydrated. And just kept going back to bed because I was drowsy. And those are all symptoms of lithium toxicity, but there also were symptoms of antibiotics and the rabies shots. It was almost identical, so it could have been either. And so finally, before I went to my hospital room, I asked, you know, did you check my lithium level? And they hadn't. And they're like, oh, no. And I'm sure we could, with all the blood we drew, we could just run it. And they did. And then I had to ask, like, before I was discharged, and it wasn't even in yet. And I was like, well, you know, we need to make sure that that's okay before we send me home, because, anyway, my lithium level was okay, but I still kind of think it was playing a role. Oh, because that night in the hospital, I was up and I had this pounding headache. I was vomiting, and it was just a mess. And so, even though I'd been going along saying, dehydrated, I'm on lithium, dehydrated, I'm on lithium, no one picked up on that. And I assumed they would have, and they didn't. So it is very important for you and your family and friends or whoever may be going with you to take initiative, to ask, to suggest, to request, you know. And they were really nice about it and everything, and, you know, and I was like, I kind of think my psychiatrist would appreciate it if you would get the lithium level. So why is toxicity, signs and symptoms, and why can it be dangerous? Mild to moderate signs and symptoms of lithium toxicity are shakiness, particularly in the hands, increased thirst, increased urination, diarrhea, vomiting, drowsiness, and I was just like sleeping all the time, but it could have been the shots and the antibiotics too. So muscle weakness and coordination problems. Severe signs and symptoms are giddiness, blurred vision, ringing in the ears, severe shaking, and then finally seizures, and very rarely death. You know, in a very severe, probably acute situation. So, know your meds, and don't be afraid to ask, you know, because apparently not even what you think is common knowledge isn't always common knowledge. So that's the lesson for the day, and I'm feeling much better. Just one more shot to go. And hopefully next video will be on my regular camera. I'm using my mom's computer. I look a little pink. I might make this black and white or something. Spice it up a little bit. Oh, and I have 75 subscribers. Thank you all. All the comments are just wonderful. They make me feel so good and warm and fuzzy. Thanks. Bye.